Good morning. It's another beautiful Saturday. We've got a great show planned. So put on the brakes, grab a cup of coffee, and get ready to join the conversation because it's time for Coffee Breaks with Steve. Hey, good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to Coffee Breaks with Steve on this Saturday, June 11th, 2022. Glad you are here. And let's see who's there's Corey Ann. Good morning, Corey Ann Woodard. And Jerry Thompson is here. Carissa is here. Good to see everybody. Now, is that Carissa really Carissa, or is that someone else in the household? Because I know Carissa's also in the studio here directing the show. So it's just good to see everybody. I'm going to be watching to see who else gets logged in here. What's the weather like in your area? We're getting closer to the official start of summer. The unofficial start of summer, the traditional start of summer is Memorial Day weekend, which was a couple of weeks ago. And it's interesting because, we spent the last 15 years in California, Carol and I did. And as such, springtime in much of California starts to feel and look like summer does in many other parts of the country. And we're now getting used to the fact, being in Spokane, that you get a definite springtime with still rain and overcast days and thunderstorms. If you've been following my Facebook, I've posted a few times now with some pretty great thunderstorms. I like thunderstorms. I like to watch the lightning, listen to the thunder, watch what it does to the weather. We actually hear, gosh, I guess it was a month ago now, maybe a little bit longer. The weeks are running together. But we actually had a thunderstorm that was really powerful here in the Spokane area that actually led to a tornado in another part of Spokane. It wasn't that close to where we are, although nothing is that far away from each other here in Spokane. But we're definitely getting used to the fact that springtime does not mean summer. We've gotten a few hints. We've had a couple of days that have gotten up into the upper 70s, even around 80. Today it's cooler out there, overcast. I think it's been raining a little bit. All right. Let's see. I say hi to a few more people here as we're getting into the start of our show. I've seen some more people come in here. I said hi to Corey Ann. I said hi to Jerry. I said hi to Carissa. I don't mind saying it more than once. Kim Baker, good morning and happy Catterday and good afternoon. That's right, because Kim is talking to us from another part of the country. Kathy McCormick, good morning. Rick is on, Rick Venturi. Chelan is here. Chelan loves the changing of the seasons we get up here. California felt like Groundhog's Day to me. Yeah. Let's see who else. Okay, I'll keep watching for more people to come on here. But yeah, it's really great. I'm bouncing around here a little bit because I'm making sure that we're moving forward. We're having another one of those weeks. It's interesting how this seems to have been a pattern recently, where we've got guests scheduled to come on, and I'm kind of watching at the last second to see if they're going to be here. So we're always ready to go with the flow and change gears if we need to. So we can do that today if that's the case. But I'm not going to worry about that too much at the moment. Just going to say hello to some people here and talk about some special days. Who else just came on here? I just saw Brenda, I think. Brenda Durnell. Good morning, Brenda. And Lila Swafford. Good morning, Lila. Kathy Garlick is on here. All right. We're getting close to it being a party now, right? We can have a party. At the very least, we're all sitting around the virtual coffee table this morning and enjoying our time. What are some special days? I mentioned June 11th. If you are tuning in live, do as these people have been doing and make sure you say hi in the chat so we know that you're here. If you are watching this later on in a recorded version, we go live on both Facebook Live and YouTube. I don't know how many of you that are on here know that we're also on YouTube Live. but the recording of the program is also available on both Facebook and YouTube. And you can go back at any point and watch this. So if you're tuning in later, either on Facebook or on YouTube, feel free to also make your comments about the episode and anything that you want to add about summer weather getting started or not getting started. And depending on where you are, and I'm curious if you're in other parts of the country, whether that's in the Pacific Northwest or you're somewhere in the Midwest or East Coast, wherever you're at, what is the weather traditionally like this time of year? As we're into June now, getting close to mid-June, what is the weather traditionally like? And does it feel typical or different this year? So let me know in there. I can't tell you other than what I'm hearing from people like my sister-in-law, Kathy McCormick, who has lived here much of her life and can talk about the various seasons. My brother-in-law, Alan, same type of thing, has been here for a long time. And yeah, let's see. I love some of these comments. But yeah, I want to hear what you think about the seasons, what you think about the onset of summer, whether you're already, with Memorial Day having happened, are you already into your summer activities? And is the weather permitting that to happen? I know in the Northwest, we would have just been, or excuse me, in Portland specifically, we would have just been in Rose Festival season and possibly still going on there, just depending on how the dates fall. I think this would be the day. Is this the day, Brenda, you're up in that area? Is this the day of the Grand Floral Parade in Portland, which as many years as not is typically a day when it could end up raining in Portland? But anyway, let me know what's going on weather-wise and seasons-wise where you are. What are some special days this week? Several of these this week, not surprisingly, because this is often how it ends up being when I find special days. I go to a site, a specific site called, I think it's called holidayinsights.com. There are a lot of different places you can go to get information about real and unusual holidays. That's the one I, just for consistency's sake, I go to. But you may know of some other special days coming up this week besides the ones I mentioned. Today is National Corn on the Cob Day. Are you a corn on? That does sort of feel like summer, doesn't it? Corn on the cob. We kind of think about the summer picnics, and I love corn. Corn is one of the corn on the cob, fresh corn on the cob. We're going to talk about fresh veggies here again in a minute, but corn on the cob, yeah, I can do that most situations that I'm out at a picnic or a barbecue. Tomorrow, the 12th, is National Jerky Day. Are you a jerky person? And you notice it didn't say beef jerky. Not all jerky is made from beef, although that may be one of the more common ones. But are you a jerky person? Do you like jerky? And if so, do you have a specific flavor of jerky that you like? I know some people who actually make their own jerky at home. And are you a store? If you like jerky, are you a store-bought jerky person or are you a make your own jerky person? Let's see. I'm just looking at comments. Wow, Kim Baker saying it's going to be in the 90s to 100 next week with rain and possibly tornadoes, I'm told. Yeah. You're fairly new to the area that you're in, right, Kim? So you're understanding and getting used to these seasons as well for the first time, and being in the part of the country that you are in, those tornado warnings and notices are not necessarily unusual either. So take care of yourself. Yeah. Let's see. What else do we have? So I said tomorrow's National Jerky Day. It's also National Peanut Butter Cookie Day. I love the fact that some of these days around certain items are very specific. Not Chocolate Chip Cookie Day tomorrow. It's specifically National Peanut Butter Cookie Day. So you got to love that. Do you like peanut butter cookies? Do you have, some people are really into things like peanut butter cookies. Some have very specific flavors that they like in cookies and stay away from. So are you a peanut butter cookie fan? If so, do you have a specific recipe that you like? And I'm partially putting that out to people like my sister Kathy and my cousin Brenda, who I know are into baking. Others of you out there bake as well. So do you bake your own cookies? And if so, is peanut butter cookie one of them? 13th, I had to put this one in there because it's something that I now need to be thinking about. I actually need to do this week. The 13th, which is Monday, is National Weed Your Garden Day. We lived in apartments for the last several years, and so we haven't had to think about the garden, hadn't had to think about the flower bed. And we just moved in. By the way, we are in the new house. I'm talking to you from the basement of the new house. I have a screen behind me because if I didn't, you would see that we're still in the process of doing some things. In fact, the room next to where I'm at today is going to be painted today. So a lot of the stuff that was in that room is in the room that I am in behind this screen. I'm not going to show you, but we are in our new house. And we're actually in a homeowners association that takes care of all the mowing the lawns and takes care of all sort of the common area. And our lawn is considered common area. However, we're responsible for the flower beds. And Carol and I have noticed that there's some weeds in the flower beds. And so got to get out there and take care of weeds. So yeah, it's going to be Monday, National Weed Your Garden Day. May very well be the day, depending on the weather, that I get out there and weed my garden. Got to get used to that again, right? Yeah, and I'm looking to see what some of you have to say about your home situations, your garden situations. And some people say, well, weeds is just another part of indigenous flower. They grow naturally in the garden. Let them grow. Yeah, not going to happen. I kind of like, there's a part of me that would love to adopt that philosophy, make an excuse not to go out and weed, but the neighbors and the homeowners association are going to be looking at what we're doing as the brand new residents of the community. I kind of need to present myself well and set a good example. 14th, anybody know what June 14th, the significance of that date? Flag Day. We actually have, now that we're in our house, we've got our American flag flying out in front of the house, and it'll be out there. We'll change that up. Carol has a variety of flags for different seasons and different holidays, but during this time of year, usually during the summer, we leave the American flag up because we've got Memorial Day, you've got Independence Day, Flag Day, and other times, but that's just a good one to fly out there. And I'm very much a proponent of putting our flag, our American flag out there, the Star-Spangled Banner. The 15th, National Prune Day. I want to talk about that one for a minute because I think prunes get a bad rap. Think about prune. Lots of times when we think of prunes, we have certain connotations, right? What comes to mind when you think of prunes? First of all, you think of these sort of big wrinkly things, and some people really like those. I don't mind. I've eaten dried prunes before. They're great. They also have certain dietary benefits for some people. But they also, just saying prune or prune juice or something like that, somehow that's a negative. And you have to think of prunes, the dried prunes that you see, being to plums as raisins are to grapes. Okay, is that a fair comparison, a fair simile? We have a recipe in our family, and a number of you on here are going to relate to this very much. It comes from the old country, from my grandma Glavin, and it's been passed down to the generations, called prune dumplings. Now, your first thought is, prune what? Say what? Prune dumplings are Italian prunes, or Italian plums are the best ones for this. Very juicy, very sweet. And they are, and Kathy, Brenda, oh God, a new Italian prune tree for her birthday from Brandon. Its name is Doug. Okay, Kathy, I love that. And Kathy, by the way, my sister, is one of the people in the family who has continued the tradition of prune dumplings. But I'm probably not going to describe this exactly right, Kathy. So if you want to, fill in blanks, you, Brenda, or anyone else, Carla, anyone, fill in the blanks or correct the things that I'm saying. But basically, you make a potato dough and put it around the plum, the Italian prune or plum. Those get boiled, and then they get placed on a cookie sheet. And I don't know, I'm probably missing a few steps in here, but these are the basics. They get baked. And then the idea is, this is a dessert. This is actually, although when we do it in our family over the years, we've done it, it's almost been the meal. Like you eat something really light for your main course, and then you move on to the prune dumplings. Like you may have a soup, a hearty soup or something like that for your dinner. And then you get onto the prune dumplings. Now you have these these plums all juicy, these Italian prunes inside this dough, this potato dough that has been baked. It's been boiled and then baked. And you cut these things, chop these things up, get the pit out of there. But now you got this juice just permeating. And you put on it melted butter, cinnamon sugar, and sour cream, and mix that all together with this dumpling and this prune. I don't know what the picture is that's forming in your mind regarding that. Trust me when I tell you, oh my goodness, these things are fantastic. I think my sister Kathy and I hold the world record for the most prune dumplings eaten in one sitting. We were much younger and we were stupid, because the point is to enjoy these things, not to get sick on them. But I think, Kathy, I don't know if you remember this, but something along the lines of like 12 to 14 of these things each, which is ridiculous. I mean, you eat 2 of them, maybe you eat 3 or 4, maybe, and that's filling. I would now probably stop at no more than 2 or 3 in most cases. Although you get started on these things, it's tough not to keep going. Okay, now I'm rambling about I haven't even gotten past the 15th of June, and we're talking about National Prune Day there. But moving on to the 16th, and you can keep talking about prune dumplings if you want to on here. But we have on the 16th, Fresh Veggies Day. So you got to weed your garden so that your fresh veggies do well. I know some people who actually are growing their own vegetables. Do you grow your own vegetables? If so, tell me in the chat here, tell us what you are, what is your typical vegetable garden look like? You grow your own vegetables. What do you include? I remember, again, going back to my grandma Glavin, lived in Sweet Home, Oregon. If you're not familiar with that town, it's this lovely, quaint little logging town, basically, it's just east of the Willamette Valley in Oregon. Kind of you go past, south of Salem, Oregon, and you if you're going from Portland, you go down south of Salem, get past Albany, make a left turn, and go through Lebanon, Oregon. You familiar with any of these places? Am I talking gibberish here? Keep going and you end up in Sweet Home. Anyway, when I was growing up, both sets of grandparents lived in Sweet Home when I was young. And my grandma Glavin had this quaint little cottage house in Sweet Home. And she grew stuff. I mean, every spare spot. She had a fun backyard. We used to play in the backyard. There was a big apple tree. We had a rope swing on the apple tree that we swung on. We climbed that tree and stuff. But I think coming from the old country, she took advantage of every space that she had for fresh fruit and vegetables. She had around the back of her garage, behind the backyard, she had berries. She was growing, I think, like currant and blackberries or raspberries, or I can't remember what was back there, but she grew things back there. Alongside the driveway, she had strawberries growing in a little bed. And then half of her backyard, you went like through this covered trellis area back there, and she grew all kinds of vegetables back there. And I mean, it was like you'd go for a meal at Grandma Glavin's at my grandparents', and the vegetables with the dinner came straight out of her garden. Literally. I mean, it was a big garden, and all kinds of cool fresh vegetables. And again, I think my sisters and my cousin may be able to fill in some of the blanks there. Hashtag, what is that? Wait, vegetable. Okay, I'm not even going to try. That was Christopher as moderator, Cat filling in blanks there. And I'm doing a little jumping around here again because I'm looking to see if by any chance, we're still waiting for our guest to arrive here. And I'm just looking really quick to see if we're missing a message from her. These things happen. I don't get stressed about it, but I think it was Carissa. Were you trying to hold something up? Because I couldn't see what you were holding up there. But I'm going to check the private chat. Just checking around. Still can't say. I have to add Carissa to the stream in order to actually see what she's showing me there. Carissa, put something in the private chat if you want to. I'll check there. Yeah, bear with us, everybody. Sometimes we get our signals going here, and I'm just trying to check all the signals. That's right, Rick. Don't worry, be happy. We're always doing that. But yeah, I'm continuing to go through special days. We're not stressed about anything here. We just talk. It's our coffee break. So in fact, Shalane, let's all there we go. I hope everybody took a sip right then. I hope you got. Hey, by the way, what do you drink? No, let me before we go off the rails on that one. When you're doing things like your coffee breaks on Saturday mornings, are you a coffee drinker? Are you a tea drinker? Do you have a special blend that you use? Do you make your latte? Do you have your chai tea? What is it that you drink? Because we call this coffee breaks with Steve, but not everybody's drinking coffee. I've got my coffee here, and you can see I'm enjoying it. But what is it that you drink? Okay. And while you're filling that in, do you think garlic's garlic? Good one, Corianne. Let's look at some other days. Fresh Veggies Day is the 16th. Perhaps not coincidentally, the 17th is Eat Your Vegetables Day. So I guess you got to grow the fresh veggies one day and eat them the next. I imagine there's probably more of a gap in there than that, but focus on the idea of the fresh veggies. And you can also go to farmers markets and other places and buy fresh vegetables, right? You don't, this is maybe on the 16th, you're going to your market and you're buying the fresh vegetables instead of what's in the can or in the frozen section. And the next day you're eating those fresh vegetables. But anyway, 17th is Eat Your Vegetables Day. Just saying. Let's see. Oh, Jerry Zettervall's on here. I didn't say hi to Jerry yet. And if Jay does Diet Coke, Jay does Diet Coke. That's right, because I know Jay is not a coffee drinker, right? There you go. And that's the thing, is not everybody, even in the morning, has like a hot beverage. Some of you may be doing other things. I digress. All right, 17th is Eat Your Vegetables Day. I wanted to mention a couple of birthdays this week that I'm aware of. One is a cousin of mine, Tina Quinn, is celebrating a birthday today. Is Tina's birthday. And so happy birthday to Tina. And then a couple of days from now, my nephew's wife, Kai Garlic, is celebrating a birthday on the 13th. So happy birthday. And if I'm missing a day, special day that you are celebrating this week, a birthday, an anniversary, anything of that nature, make sure that you let us know so that we can celebrate with you. And again, just kind of checking around here to see where we are at. And all right. So we're going to talk a little bit more while we're waiting to see if our guest today scheduled to be here, if you saw promos this week, is Ann Davis East. Ann has been with us in the past. She's our resident bibliophile, which is not a bad word. Bibliophile is just someone who's really into books. And Ann comes to us several times a year, typically 3 or 4 times a year, to talk about different books that she has been exploring and researching and that she's recommending. We usually have a theme. And we were actually going into this week when Ann and I first talked about this week. And when she was last on, she actually mentioned this, that she wanted to talk about books, poetry, and poets, books about poetry and poets. And she said that was one she was going to have to research herself. And then we got closer to the end of this week. She actually followed up with me and said, we're going to change the topic here. We're going to talk about summer books, summer reading, and books about summer. And so hopefully Ann's going to be able to still join us. And if not, hey, we go with the flow. We reschedule if we need to. I'm once again just checking to make sure that we've got information. Okay, still going to go on. But what we're going to do is I'm still tempted to add Carissa to the stream here, because she keeps holding something up, but it's Carissa. I'm putting you on the stream. I hope you're prepared to hold up what you're holding up, because I can't see what it is. All right, what is that? The Lost Book of Remedies. Did you want to talk about that? What's that?
I have a book to share.
Okay, I'll just tell you, your audio is breaking up a little bit, but let's give this a try. Go ahead.
I'm gonna move while we do this then. I'm gonna move while we do this and talk about this book a little bit.
Okay, I love that. This is what we call going with the flow, folks. All right. Carissa, by the way, Carissa is, if you're not aware, Carissa is my daughter. She's also the director. So when we have different, now your picture's frozen in a very weird pose. Okay. Um, when you see the different banners coming up and along the bottom during the program here, that's Carissa is updating those banners. So Carissa, you wanted to talk about this book. Since we were set to talk about books, I couldn't think of anything better than to let you fly with this. So tell me about this book.
There you go. So is my audio a little bit less choppy? Or a little
Yeah,
bit
the
better?
audio sounds good. Your picture looks good.
Well, this is kind of a perfect book, I think, because we already touched on some topics about this book. You were talking about needing to weed your garden, and you were also talking about summer books,
Yeah.
which is what I had wanted to switch to. And I am in love with this book. And some people on here, especially if you've been on Facebook at all, or if you watch the TV show Alone, know something about this book. It is called The Lost Book of Herbal Remedies. And it is by a couple of authors, Nicole Appelian and Claude Davis. Now, Nicole Appelian was on the TV show Lost. Alone. And if you're not familiar with the show, yes, what they do is they take several contestants and they put them out individually in a very remote area, and they basically compete with survival skills. They're completely by themselves and they have to live off the land, and basically the last person standing wins. So the primary author on this book, Dr. Nicole Appelian, she's an herbalist, survival skills instructor, anthropologist, and a research biologist. And she actually got her, I believe, her doctorate here at U of O. And so one of the things with this book that's really cool is Nicole herself suffers from MS. And that was one of the things that she made very clear when she was doing the TV show Alone, is that a lot of her interest in herbal remedies came from trying to find ways to kind of deal with her ongoing struggle with MS. And so she found a lot of plant medicine. But what's really cool is that a lot of the stuff that's in this book is stuff that you would find in your yard. Your weed, the things that we kind of think of as a nuisance, or that we would just mow or pluck out of our gardens, actually are very easy to turn into remedies. And this is stuff that's easy to kind of, you could go online and find ways to use it yourself. But what I like about this book is that they have it organized a couple of different ways. They have it organized by the type of plant, and then they also have it organized by the type of body system. So if you're specifically working with your lymphatic system, or you've got circulatory issues, they have it organized by that. And then they also have it organized by specific ailment. So if you've got a toothache, you can just open it up and look in here. Wow. And I wanted to share some things that Carson and I have actually been doing with this book. So if you are going to be going out and weeding, there are some very simple things that you can do with some of your weeds. One of the things I do caution people against, and anybody who does anything with plants is going to caution you against, is that obviously, pollinators are important. So if you are able to leave a percentage of those like flower plants and things for some bees, that's very important. We need those guys. But this is actually something that we've been using a ton in our house. And what we did is Carson and I went out, we picked a bunch of dandelions. And we soaked the dandelions in vinegar for about 3 weeks. Or I'm sorry, this one was in oil. So we just took like an olive oil. We soaked the dandelions in olive oil for 3 weeks, strained it out, and then I'm lying, coconut oil. I can't remember what we did. Coconut oil. So we basically had
coffee.
Coconut oil. I do. I haven't had coffee. I'll be honest. So we put these in coconut oil, and we did a double boiler with this. So this one we actually did on the stove. There are other things that you can do. We did make, and I didn't bring it out with me, we did make a regular oil. So we had dandelions, soaked them in oil for 3 weeks, and then we strained it out. You can use that for different things. But this we did with a double boiler, and we just melted some coconut oil, and we basically just steeped it with the dandelions, and then we strained it out after a couple of hours. And this actually makes like a wax kind of feeling, but this actually helps with pain, like muscle aches and things like that. We've used it on bruises, we've used it on cuts. My husband Jason had a car accident many years ago, and so he suffers from a lot of issues with muscles and pain and back and things like this. And he's not into, I mean, he doesn't believe in woo-woo stuff at all, but he begs me to use this on his, painful muscles all the time. Anytime Carson gets an out, wants this. It doesn't smell crazy or anything, and this doesn't have to be refrigerated. We just have it in a little tin, and we can just apply it. Carson actually got a little bit of a sunburn at school a couple weeks ago, and we used this, and it helped with that. So with a lot of these plants, I mean, because the author is, she went to school locally, pretty much everything in here is stuff that you're going to find easily in your own yard. Things like right now we're actually steeping, this is vinegar and pine needles. And this is going to steep for about a month. And this is actually a natural cleaner that we're going to be using to clean our house. So this uses money because we don't have to go out and buy Pine Sol and Clorox all the time. This pine needles actually have it's a natural cleaner. So it's another way also to kind of save money. You've got stuff that's already in your yard that you can use. So I wanted to share this because you had already brought up something. It's by a local author, and it's really easy to get your hands on. I actually found the ad for it on Facebook, but you can get it on Amazon. Again, it's called The Lost Book of Herbal Remedies by Nicole Appelian. And if anybody wants a link to it or wants me to put the name in the comments, I can absolutely do that for you. So pretty cool book. Wanted to share it with you guys.
Thank you. And we will also, Carissa, I'll get the information from you. We'll also put the link on the Coffee Breaks page and make sure that that's available. So Carissa wins the internet today. Yeah, that's good. So taking you out of the feed as we get ready to close. Thank you, Carissa. That was great.
Hi, you're welcome.
All right. Yeah, I love it. I love it when we get, again, we fly by the seat of our pants sometimes, but I think it's a pretty good seat. I'm not sure that was the right way to say that. Anyway, thank you. Hey, and some of you may have, we will put that information in the chat, but we're going to talk about books today. Maybe you have some books that tie into summer, that tie into the season, that tie into the types of things even that Carissa was talking about. We talked about vegetables, we talked about gardening. Do you have any books that you would recommend? You can put them in the chat. We're also going to make sure that on the Coffee Breaks with Steve Roundtable page, we can discuss this some more. I have to apologize. I think the last 2 or 3 weeks I've mentioned updating things on the Coffee Breaks Roundtable group, and I have been very lax about doing that. We've been so busy with the house that it's been difficult to set aside the time to do that, but I will make that a priority as well. Listen, we are past time. It's great that we actually didn't feel like I was sitting here twiddling my thumbs. Thank you for all of your comments. Continue to put your comments in the chat. You can do that even after we go off the air live. But we'll follow up with Ann and make sure that we get her on here. Again, this is our sit around the table coffee time. We don't have to get too formal about any of it. If I didn't say hi to you, still say hi. I've been kind of watching the screen and I may have missed. I got to go back and look at comments. I know there has been a tremendous amount of comment and back and forth going on. So I want to make sure I catch that. We're past time. I want to let you go, but I want to let you know what's going to be coming up in the next week or so. Next week is Father's Day weekend, right? And so we're going to have I wanted to come up with a topic that I thought would be interesting for Father's Day. And so what we're going to talk about next week are the TV dads. Think about the TV dads over the course of the last decades, the last 70 years, let's say from Ward Cleaver to Tony Soprano and everything in between. It probably got some more current dads than that. But who were the TV dads? How were they portrayed over the course? What changed as our culture evolved over the course of the last several decades, and how dads were shown and portrayed and represented in TV shows? How has that changed and been different? Who were the TV dads that you paid attention to that influenced you in your childhood, that influenced you even as adults? Who are your favorite TV dads? We're going to talk about that next week as part of our Father's Day. And we're going to, I don't know, I think just have a good Father's Day chat. And then on the 25th, I mentioned this a couple of weeks now, but we're going to be doing a segment on your local coffee place. This is Coffee Breaks with Steve. Of course, we got to talk about the coffee places, the coffee shops in your neighborhood. Now, some of you prefer the big national chains. So do I. I still get my Starbucks. And we're not going to ignore those, but I want to talk about the ones that are kind of just the privately owned neighborhood-based coffee shops. And to make this extra special, we're broadcasting live on location at a local coffee shop here near us in Spokane that has become one of our favorites. We're going to be at the Rocket Bakery here in Millwood, the Millwood area of Spokane. And then on July 2nd, we will have a special episode narrowing down exactly how it'll be presented. But we're going to talk about Independence Day because that's coming up. Believe it or not, we're going to be finished with June and into July. So take some time to think about how you want to be involved in next week's conversation. Get the word out to others. Don't mind having more people sitting around our virtual table. But I just want to thank you again for being here. Remind you once again, we've got a lot happening in our world, right? We've come through 2 or 3 years, for some of us even maybe more, depending on what's been going on in your life and what's been going on in your world. But we go through times that can be challenging to us. We go through times when there may be struggles. We go through times when we're trying to figure out what our place is and how we interact in our world. And I just want to remind you that you always have the opportunity, and I just encourage you to find a way to make a difference in your world this week. Thanks for being here. God bless you. Have a great week.